Tension is growing in the Kherson region among the military command of the Russian armed forces, which refuses to send servicemen to storm positions. This was reported by the Atesh partisan movement. Russian military commanders refuse to send their subordinates to storm positions in the Kherson region, the statement says. Atesh agents in the enemy army report growing tension in Russian units located in the occupied territory of the Kherson region. According to them, the situation is becoming increasingly alarming, and servicemen of the Russian armed forces note the intensification of preparations for an offensive. Commanders are constantly called to urgent meetings, after which they return late at night, pale and clearly worried. This increases nervousness in units where no one understands in detail what is happening. Meanwhile, the command continues to set suicidal tasks, which further undermine the morale of the personnel, noted Atesh. In addition, there is information that the activity of enemy equipment has increased and the supply of ammunition has increased. Combat equipment and boats are being prepared for use. Everything points to preparations for an operation, but the details are hidden even from most officers. However, among our informants, there are company and battalion commanders who pass on important information to us after meetings with the command of their brigades and regiments, Atesh emphasized. They also explain that all information received is promptly passed on to representatives of the Ukrainian Defense Forces and are ready to pay large sums of money, equivalent to 2 salaries of Russian military personnel, for important information. The Russian army has many refuseniks who do not want to participate in combat. Russian forces were sending waves of small groups of men one after another, eventually overpowering outnumbered and exhausted Ukrainian troops. The tactic, first seen on a large scale in the battle for the city of Bakhmut in 2023, is widely referred to as meat grinder. Russia is poking holes in Ukrainian defense lines, which Ukrainian troops are trying to fill using drones. Russia has not communicated on its war losses since the early months of the invasion. Ukraine hopes to slow down Russia's advance and seize the initiative on the front before Donald Trump takes office as US president, the Financial Times reports. Senior officials are said to believe that proving they are fighters and winners will help convince the president-elect to support them. The publication reports, citing military officials and analysts, that the next few months will be a critical phase of the war as Ukraine tries to stabilize its defenses and strengthen its position in the east in case Trump forces it to negotiate with Putin. However, the publication clarifies, the Ukrainian authorities admit that they find it difficult to contain the larger and better equipped Russian army in conditions of a shortage of personnel. Therefore, they plan to recruit additional troops, although efforts to attract new recruits are complicated by the fact that military service has no fixed term. As 2025 approaches and Trump's inauguration draws nearer, there is increasing talk of negotiations and an end to Russia's war against Ukraine. After nearly 3 years of heavy battles and mass strikes, Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine is showing signs of accelerating toward what could be its final act, for now at least. Financial Times says that Trump has assured Europe that his administration will continue military support for Ukraine once he takes office. 3 sources familiar with discussions with Western officials have revealed that Trump plans to continue supplying Ukraine with US military aid following his inauguration. British officials who visited Washington in early December told the FT that Trump believes that supplying weapons to Ukraine after the ceasefire is in line with the idea of peace through strength. At the same time, they said Trump still believes that Ukraine should never become a NATO member and wants an immediate end to the war. During his election campaign, Donald Trump promised to cut off aid to Ukraine and force Kiev to hold immediate peace talks, the Financial Times notes. Among other things, the US president-elect pledged to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. Recall, over the summer and autumn of 2024, the battlefield situation markedly turned for the worse for Kyiv as Russia has begun capturing territory at a greater pace since the first months of the full-scale invasion. The resounding victory in the US presidential elections of former President Donald Trump, who has been openly scathing the US military and financial aid to Ukraine and the inner circle of whom have spread anti-Ukrainian narratives on the war, has put the future of Ukraine's ability to hold Russia back in grave doubt. Given the slow burn failure of the West's current policy to support Ukraine enough to simply survive rather than win in the face of Russia's war of attrition, many Ukrainians, from officials to soldiers and civilians, have expressed quiet hope that Trump could get tough with Russian President Vladimir Putin in an effort to stop Russia's advance.